What up, gang? Welcome back to another video. Something different, a change of pace. Wanting to talk to you about Sadguru on Joe Rogan. He appeared on Joe Rogan's Rogan Experience number 1791. Now, Sadguru is a yogi, mystic, and visionary, named one of India's 50 most influential people. And I always love listening to these like Joe Rogan podcasts where he has like these mystics on, right? So he has all these Eastern mystics. I want to talk about Sadguru and I want to talk about Naval Ravikant. So they're both kind of gurus or have their own following in their own respect, talking about how to live life, the purpose of life, the meaning of life, how to live a fruitful life, how to be happy, blah, blah, blah. So everyone loves that kind of stuff, right? Now, Sadhguru, he said a few things that I thought was just really interesting. The first thing was that he said in 2020, more people committed suicide in Japan than had died from COVID. And that is kind of really depressing to hear, right? Because what is happening in the world right now in 2020 that would cause a very modern, a very well established, society such as Japan, at the peak of scientific engineering, computer engineering, technological engineering, to suffer so much. And he said that WHO, the WHO, said that COVID-19 pandemic triggers 25% increase in prevalence of anxiety and depression worldwide. So Sadhguru said, look, there is a pandemic of mental health issues. Now, I'm not surprised. I mean, truly, with the pandemic, with lockdowns, and with everything that governments have made, the reality is that people have gone into depression, right? A lot of people require social interactions and social connections and support and family and feeling that sense of connectedness. And when you just lock people out of society and force them to stay at home, then these issues of depression and anxiety unfortunately do increase. So that was really interesting when he said there is a mental health pandemic happening at the moment. Now, let me preface this kind of video by saying that I'm not particularly a fan of Sadhguru. Like, I was initially kind of interested in him, but then I went down the rabbit hole, right? And then there was videos about how he's kind of like a fake guru. He revels in animal torture, and that's not cool, obviously. He has a net worth of $25 million through his volunteers, and he has all this money on the back of people, unwitting people that listen to him. But nonetheless, he says some interesting things, and he kind of comes across to me anyway, in the podcast as having some sense of like arrogance. He's kind of arrogant, and I noticed that there were some moments of back and forth between him and Joe Rogan challenged him on a few things, which is, I think, fantastic. Good on Joe Rogan for challenging him. And I found that the way that he talks, Sadhguru, these Eastern mystics, right, they talk around in circles and circles. It's like this circular conversation. So Joe Rogan would ask him something like, okay, so human experience, how does one overcome our trauma, our past, our social conditioning, everything that we've experienced? We are the way we are because of that. How do we begin to change that? And then Sadhguru will just go on a tangent and tell a story about something that doesn't really answer the question. And then Joe would come back and be like, okay, but tell me, how do I do that? If someone came to you for advice, what advice? And then Sadhguru will go on and tell another story, which is annoying. And I think the Western culture is like, just tell me how, but maybe Eastern mystics, their way of teaching is they'll tell you a story and you have to go away, reflect, internalize it, think about it, and then come back to the guru. And in that way, I feel like it forces you to always go back to the guru for your answers, right? But anyway, Sadhguru says the human experience should happen from within. You can receive an external stimulus, but your experience from that external stimulus should come from within you. And he says that human beings, they're striving to be happy, right? And the reason why they're striving to be happy is because they can't find it within them, so therefore they externalize everything. They're literally destroying our external world in search for this happiness that they should be seeking within them. Today, if you want to experience joy, there is a chemical for that, right? There's drugs for that. There's medication for that. If you want to experience peace, there's inner peace, there's a chemical for that. If you want to sleep better, there's a chemical for that. If you want to look better, there are chemicals for that, right? So he's saying in this day and age, people are not looking within themselves anymore. They're not doing meditation and reflecting anymore, because they know that literally there is a medication or a drug or a chemical that can replace that for them. So he's saying that people are poorly managing their internal systems. And this is what I'm talking about when Joe Rogan says, okay, that's all good and great. Like, you're a guru, you can talk about that, you can tell us, but you need to tell us how. And Joe's like, how? And Sadguru's just like, oh, you just, the heavens are lost within humans now. And it's just like, just give me the concrete answer. And then he goes on to say like other stuff, which I think is interesting about mental pain. And he uses this analogy, I suppose, an example, that if he was to abuse you, or if someone was to abuse you in their native tongue and you didn't understand the language, but they had a complete smile on their face, but they're literally abusing you, saying horrible things about you would be none the wiser, right? You would think that they're just being friendly because they have a smile on their face, but literally they're abusing you. So that mental pain that they're causing is non-existent. So he's just essentially saying that the mental pain that we experience, it's us doing it to ourselves. It's because we give definitions, we give meaning, we give interpretations to the things that other people say, and that we are causing our own angst, we are causing our own pain. And I thought that was a really kind of interesting concept when he said that, you know, we are in control of how we feel. We want to respond rather than react, because when we react, we're literally becoming slaves to the other person. So he uses the example of when you go down the street, or did he use, I can't remember, but let's use this example. If you were having a good day and you're walking down the street and someone comes up to you and abuses you, right? Then all of a sudden they may have turned your day sour. They've ruined your day because out of nowhere, you're having a good day, this guy abuses you. But he says that you don't want to react, because as soon as you react and react negatively, then your good day has become a bad day, and you've given your power and you've become enslaved by the other person's emotions. But rather what you'd want to do is respond how you want to respond, in a very calm, peaceful manner. Obviously easier said than done, and I think Joe Rogan presses him on this issue, saying, yeah, great, this is all good, this is all fantastic stuff, but how? And I feel like Sadguru doesn't really have the how. He says, oh, my book will give you the tools, but yeah, he doesn't really go on. Now, the other video I want to introduce you to is Naval Ravikant. Now, this was in 2019, podcast number 1309. One of the great podcasts. If you want to listen to a really uplifting and positive podcast, listen to Naval Ravikant on Joe Rogan, which was made back in 2019. And he kind of talks about happiness, making happiness your priority. Stop thinking that it's everybody's fault. Stop blaming society. Stop blaming certain systems, whether it's government, justice system, education system, health system, whatever. Change the way you approach your reality, because he's essentially saying that life is a single player game. You are the only player in this game which we call life, right? It's you are unique in the sense that you feel your own emotions, you experience your own experiences, nothing experiences your experience. So you kind of get to define how you interact with that, which is kind of in line with what Sadguru says when he says you interpret what the external world is. So he says the more you judge, the more you will separate yourself from the world. The world reflects back your reality to you. Naval says something really great. He says you are born with a bunch of sensory experiences, right? Things you can taste, touch, smell, see, experience. You know, you're born a blob, you have lights and sounds come at you, and then you die. So reality is neutral. It's neither good or bad. How you choose to interpret all these light sounds or these sensory experiences, it is up to you. Therefore, it is that single player game that he's talking about. And he says that it is your own conditioning that makes you unhappy. And I think that's like a really powerful thing, right? Because we grow up in this society where we're conditioned to think a certain way, feel a certain way, and we're bombarded. It's to say that we're conditioned is to downplay it too much. We are literally smashed on the head every day with how we should think, feel, behave. And we are socially conditioned, either socially from our external world or our family, our immediate friends, our school systems, all these systems. And the irony is, I said, don't blame all these systems for you being unhappy. How you interpret it, right? Take control of that, right? But nonetheless, we cannot deny that it is years of social conditioning or certain conditioning that makes us feel unhappy. And he says this amazing thing that I think is very poignant, and he quotes Confucius, and he says that every man has two lives. The second starts when he realizes he has one. And he says that in response to Joe Rogan saying, how did you develop this? How did you become so happy? At what point was it? Was it just recently? Was it many years ago? And Naval says, well, I just got older and I realized, there are more important things to life, and I just need to be happy because every moment that I'm breathing, my life is ticking away. And age, just got to me, and I realized I just have one life, right? So that's that Confucius quote. Every man has two lives. The second starts when he realizes he only has one. And that's really powerful. I love that one. What does he say? He says that every desire you have is a potential pathway to suffering. So focus only on one desire, or one or two, but just don't spread yourself too thinly, because every desire that you want in life, it's just a way for you to suffer more because you can't get it, right? The more desire you have, I want a fancy car, I want a beautiful partner, I want a new house, I want more jewelry, I want more money, I want 3 kids, I want all these things that you want, you cannot have, right? So all it serves you is just a mechanism for you to be unhappy. It's a mechanism for you to suffer even more. So when he says have a focus, but just focus on the one, that's a good thing. He says the universe works in very mysterious ways, where if you just focus on the one thing, the universe usually grants it for you. You become kind of a master in that area, right? Oh, another thing that he said that was really interesting is that everything you are a winner at in life right now, currently, is because you were once a loser at it. And I thought that was common sense, logical, but when someone puts it down for you like that, amazing, right? So we all know we start off as a clean slate. If you're a professional athlete in whatever field, you were once a loser at that, okay? And I guess the moral of the story is don't feel bad when you try something new and you fail, because everyone who is a success in their field, is proficient in their field, is talented, is great in their field, was once a loser in the same field. We all had to start from zero. So, he says that if you were born good looking, you got all the boys or you got all the girls, or you're born with all the money, he says that you wouldn't have had to do anything. You would have maybe peaked too early. You wouldn't have reached your full potential. And he talks about the need to go through certain life struggles, right? To become the profession, to become the master, to become the winner, you would have had to become a loser. But people born with a golden spoon up their butt, they would have never had to do that. And I find it so ironic that these people I won't name names, but these rich and famous people, right? They're rich and famous, but they came from money. They didn't start from the bottom and now they're here. A lot of people that preach hard work, hustling and all this stuff, it's like, mate, you were born into it, right? And look, there's that TikTok video or whatever with Kim Kardashian and talk about hard work and hustling. You're like, you don't hustle, all right? So let's get off that. But so he's saying, yeah, look, all winners were once losers, and that's okay. There's another clip where he talks about the meaning of life, and he says that all the great questions in life are literally paradoxes, right? They have they contradict each other. The answer contradicts each other, but ultimately both lie in some sense of truth. And one of the conversation pieces that he came up with, Joe, was, do I matter? How do I matter in this infinite universe? And I thought it was amazing that he created this story, right? He said that on one hand, we are special. You, whoever I'm talking to, whoever's watching this right now, you are special. You're very unique in your own right? You have your own experiences, your own thoughts. No one has the thoughts that you have. No one has the experiences you have. No one has the ideas or the emotions that you have, right? You are you. Even if you had a genetically identical twin, right? You still have your own experience. You still have your emotions that is unique to you. So therefore, you matter in life. And again, life is a single player game. It's only you. But he says, while on one hand, you are unique, you are special in your own way. On the other hand, you're also not unique in the sense that you are one with the universe. And he says that in order for someone to invoke your name, so let's just say Joe Rogan. He says, in order for someone to invoke Joe Rogan's name, they have to invoke the universe. For example, if someone says, who's Joe Rogan? Well, he's a human. Okay, well, what's a human? It's an animal. What's an animal? It's a thing on Earth. What's Earth? Well, it's a planet. What's a planet? It's in our solar system. What's a solar system? It is in our galaxy. What's a galaxy? It's in the universe. You know what I mean? Like he says that essentially, while you are your unique own individual, you have your own thoughts, feelings, emotions. In order to find out who you are, you have to literally invoke the whole universe. And I think that is amazing, that this concept that yes, you do matter. You know, when you doubt yourself, you ask yourself, how do I matter in this world? Well, you matter because not only are you unique, but you also matter because you are attached to the universe. You are special in that way. And I thought that was amazing. All right. So I do encourage you to watch Joe Rogan Experience 1309 with Naval Ravikant. Sadguru, not so much. He has some interesting stories, but I kind of find his teachings a little bit offish. You know, I sense a slight arrogance about him, but nonetheless, you know, he has some interesting kind of concepts for you to kind of listen and reflect back on and see what you can take out of it. So they're the two podcasts, and I don't even know why I made this idea. I just want to kind of express my thoughts about these two people that I think are really interesting on the Joe Rogan Experience. So there you go.